It all starts in a university group chat, where our boy is saying that he traveled to a strange place. The group tells him to stop joking, but he replies that he's serious, and at that moment, he's being chased by a dog. A video call is being made, so we see a girl wielding a sword, a bunch of beasts holding the poor guy down as he runs, and him sending this to everyone. The thinnest girl I've ever seen in any manhwa asks if he's the one stealing food from the beast's den. She questions how he's going to pay for all the mess he's caused. The poor guy is there, streaming the whole thing standing still like a fool. We rewind a bit to when he was standing in front of a crosswalk. $1,000,000 if you can guess what happens when a truck was coming. Oh, you sly one, I got you. He dodged and fell to the ground, scared, saying he almost got reincarnated. But right at that moment, a girl with a headband tells him to get out of the way. He looks to the side, and there's a dog coming that crashes into him, sending the poor guy spinning. Mid-air spinning, he wonders what kind of disaster of a dog just passed by. What he didn't expect was to be thrown straight into a construction manhole. Outside, people are wondering if someone really died in such a ridiculous way. Meanwhile, opening his eyes, the protagonist says he never expected his adventure to start with being knocked over by a dog. A winged one is sticking its tongue out while he wonders what kind of hellish place this is. He freaks out and backs away, but he quickly sees he's surrounded by a bunch of strange creatures. He starts rubbing his eyes, saying he must be hallucinating for sure. Even the dog gives him a lick on the face, and he stumbles into a frog's belly. But the creature had an electric body, and the boy got shocked like Pikachu. Grilled, he focuses and says he needs to stay calm. After all, these beasts don't seem to want to attack him. He looks around and quickly notices that this place seems like a den. The only thing he has with him is his phone, and he decides to take a look. Miraculously, he's in another place, but apparently, there's still a signal. Seeing this, he's convinced he's in some kind of prank and decides to figure out what species these are. He uses an eye app to detect the breeds, but it says they're incomprehensible. He then notices it's the same time of day and year. He decides to test if it's real and touches the frog again, just to get shocked again and confirm this creature is far from normal. He then tries calling the police, but no one answers. Apparently, even though the internet works, calls don't. He starts scratching his head, trying to figure out where he ended up. The bird nearby starts repeating that this is the spiritual mountain of immortals. It flies around and says this is a sect with over 2,500 years of history. Our boy is wondering what the heck cultivation and sex are about, but whatever. It doesn't matter since he first wants to figure out how to get out of there. He heads to the door, but as soon as he touches it, he's thrown away again, landing on some hay. The creature starts saying he's an idiot, and the bird warns that there are restrictions in the den. Once again, his hand is burnt, and he's impressed by all this technology. Maybe he traveled to another world, but it's all way too weird. Since his phone still works, he decides to ask for help. While he's messing with his phone, the little dog comes back with a bowl of food. The protagonist thanks him, but says he's not hungry for now. The dog crouches and starts licking the bowl as if teaching him how to eat. He thanks it again, but says he's not feeling up to it, until his stomach starts growling. With a 32-pixel expression on his face, he says that he, Mo Wan, would rather starve to death than eat dog food in this place. But then his stomach growls again, and he realizes he doesn't have much choice for now. Apparently, he ended up sharing a meal with a little dog. Not long after, he made a post saying he traveled to a cultivation world and needs help. He hit publish and thought that, at least for now, his phone still has battery. In the Yanjing University group chat, he tells everyone he traveled through time and even sends a video with a beast. His friends reply that AI-generated videos are getting too good these days. The little bird says it's the first time it's seen someone travel to another world and still have internet signal. Our boy replies that AI isn't good enough to do things in real time, so he's going to open a little video chat. He makes a call to the bird, the kitten, and the bald guy. As soon as they join, he points behind him and tells them to look at this flying dog and electric frog. Also, there's a giant one-eyed crow, so it's clearly not AI. The bird guy says it's crazy that he's in this place and still alive. He even asks to come along. The bald guy says the same and asks if he can bring his friends. Mo Wine just replies that he first needs help figuring out how to get back. After talking to his friends for a while, they come to the conclusion that he needs to figure out two things. First, how to charge his phone. Second, what kind of world this is and why he ended up in the beast's den. The good news is that food isn't a problem. The bad news is that the food is dog food. For now, he's only told his friends from school who play games with him. One Axuan is a nerdy engineer who's always been a good friend. Io works as a screenwriter and does reviews for clients, so when it comes to stories, she's the best. The last one is Alien, who's an otaku streamer and reads tons of stories. Her dream has always been to time travel, but in this case, he was the one chosen. Even though he's stuck in this mess, he doesn't feel alone. The bald guy, Axuan, tells him he's going to send a video on how to build a generator. Then Io, the chick, asks if there's a way to use the electric frog's energy. However, Axuan tells him not to do that because high voltage could fry his phone. Alien, who's the smartest and has read 1,000 novels, tells him to wait because the Great System will probably show up soon. He starts shouting to the heavens, calling for the Great Sage, the Little System, the Travel System, and everything else. But there's only silence. Considering what Alien said, he wonders if maybe by killing some beasts, he'll get a system where they kill a creature, consume it, and gain its powers. But as he stands face to face with the beasts, he realizes it's not going to be that easy. How is he, just a normal guy, supposed to kill monsters that big? The Omgas then tell him to forget about it for now and look for some artifacts. He looks around, finds nothing, and comes to a conclusion. Maybe his overpowered system in this world is having contact with his friends. ActionToon says it's tragic to get such a useless system like that. Lying on the beast, he says he's been stuck there for 7 hours, only eating dog food, and the smell is horrible. One detail, though, is that the kibble was weird. He barely had any taste, and every time he ate it, he felt a strange energy in his stomach. But he doesn't care about that and shouts to the heavens, asking for air conditioning, anime, and tea. Suddenly, the creature near the exit starts vibrating and the door opens. He hides behind a little dog to take a look. A very beautiful girl begins to appear. He immediately looks at what matters most and wonders if a fairy has arrived. As she opens a floating book, the girl next to her tells the senior that she already checked the den and there's nothing to worry about. But the so-called fairy responds that she doesn't understand why the inventory records don't match. The beasts were crucial to the sect and no errors were allowed. However, the girl in green tells her not to worry, assuring her that as long as she's keeping watch, not even a mosquito will appear there. She runs over and hugs the big frog, saying it's a 3rd-grade electric beast that can summon entire storms. The crow, which I thought had 1 eye, actually has 3 eyes and is also a 2nd-grade spiritual beast. Its feathers are perfect for creating talismans, and it can even mimic someone's voice. The creature repeats that thing about this place being 2,500 years old. Then she picks up the dog, saying she likes this one a lot because it's great to cuddle with its fur. She's about to say it's soft and fluffy when she feels something strange. Looking back, she sees she grabbed Mo Wang's arm. The fool introduces himself, saying he's a new beast that just arrived in this place. Its grade is unknown, it has a humanoid appearance, it talks like a human, and it really resembles a human, but nope, it's definitely not a human. Its skill is speed, and he bolts toward the door like a bullet train. Man, he's running like a high-speed train, while the girl says she doesn't remember them having a humanoid beast that could actually talk. The guy points out that maybe, just maybe, it's a human who wandered into this place. That's when the fairy figures out what happened and grabs her whip. She orders all the beasts to catch him alive and bring him back. Meanwhile, his friends are trying to start a voice call, and looking back, he knows this is the worst timing ever. The door is open, and he's just about to escape when the whip comes and slashes his face. He stops for a second and quickly sees that the crow is now face to face with him. The beasts surround him, and then the fairy approaches. She asks what he's doing in the beast's den and if he's from another sect. She looks at the girl in green and says that if someone this week managed to invade, her security measures are a joke. The embarrassed girl apologizes and says she doesn't know how he got in, but assures that she'll make him talk. But she knows that for him to have entered this place, he must have broken through a 4th-grade barrier. She starts summoning a bunch of thunderwater talismans while thinking that even with the senior nearby, she has to be careful. She says that since he dared to enter this den, she assumes he has abilities that she'll have to test. Poor Mo Wang is sweating cold, not knowing why she activated so many talismans to deal with him. While the girl is confused, she realizes he has no spiritual root and is full of defensive openings. Either he has a treasure that hides his aura, or he's so strong that she can't even comprehend his power. She decides she'll have to take this seriously so she doesn't mess up again in front of the senior. Our boy's leg trembles, and with his aura, she fears he might attack. She prepares to defend herself, but he comes forward to pray to her. He begs for forgiveness, saying he doesn't know anything and has no idea how he ended up there. The crow is eating his hair, and a few seconds later, he's already tied up. They're wondering how someone without spiritual energy invaded the den. The girl responds that, at least, none of the beasts are missing. Just 452 plants and a lot of beast food. She then gets in his face and demands to know if he's the one who stole the food. He replies that 250 tons is something he wouldn't eat even if he stayed there for a year. He barely had food. He was just an innocent boy who didn't know anything. The fairy interrupts her friend, saying she's already checked his body and he really doesn't have spiritual energy. Which means that if he were truly a master who escaped her radar, only the elders could face him, but he's already immobilized. She tells him to stop with immortal excuses and says he better help them figure out everything that happened there. He raises his finger and a blue power strikes him in the face. She then warns him that he has a restriction. If he leaves this sect, his body and soul will be destroyed. She leaves, informing him that he has 7 days to figure out how he invaded, have his memory erased, and be sent back to the mortal world. The green-clad girl turns to the guy beside her and says that's why she told him not to mess with the beast's food. The blonde guy replies that he had no idea people paid so much attention to the records. The green girl says this is the perfect opportunity for them. They can pin all the blame on this mortal and get away scot-free. The blonde suggests they should discuss this plan in secret since the mortal heard everything. But she responds that it's easy to tamper with a mortal's mind, so there's nothing to worry about. She then declares she'll examine his consciousness first to figure out how he entered the den. Mo Wang is terrified she'll touch his mind and discover he transmigrated. In the university chat, his friends are worried because his screen went black. Ali immediately says that if he was captured, they're probably going to perform a soul search on him. This is a method that allows someone to dive into a person's subconscious and extract a ton of information. But it's usually forbidden. That's because it's an extremely mysterious technique. You never know what you'll find inside someone's soul, but now her technique has already hit his forehead, while she screams, saying she'll uncover all his secrets in his past. The blonde guy warns that it's dangerous to try invading someone's mental space like this. The girl's name is Baijai, and she never expected the kind of consciousness that exists in a 21st century person who spent their whole life as an otaku. A normal human wouldn't be an issue, but Mo Wang has been watching TikTok since birth, and his consciousness is filled with information. A soldier appears with a sword, shouting, "If the tower stands, so do I." A Godzilla appears next to him, stomping on her. Then a mecha shows up and starts fighting the beast. She's standing there trying to make sense of this consciousness full of celestial creatures. Suddenly, a bomb appears in the sky, creating a nuclear explosion. Baiji is flying through fragments of memory. Her head is exploding from the overwhelming information, and she tries to focus on what he sees most often. She casts a jutsu and finally manages to calm it all down. Then a red-lipped mouth appears. You can already imagine what he's into. Long legs and stockings and a yin-yang union. A girl makes a promise and someone screams and interrupts. Baiji covers her face, saying this boy is a scoundrel, wondering if all this could really exist in one person's life. Suddenly, she leaves his consciousness and collapses on the floor, exhausted. A friend asks Junior what happened and what she saw. She awkwardly replies that she's not skilled enough to remember. The blonde asks if he should take a look too, but she tells him no, it's better to forget that mind entirely. Suddenly, Mo Wang wakes up, yells at them to stay back, and begs for help. The blonde says that for him to have regained consciousness, he must really have a strong soul. Suddenly, a golden talisman appears beneath him. He says that since she couldn't extract any information from him, they'll have to erase his memory so he forgets everything they said earlier. He moves in to strike him right in the face. But Mo Wang screams, telling them to calm down because he has a way to solve the problem within 7 days. The blonde guy tells him to stop making things up because a mortal wouldn't know how to fix this. Then Beijing says to wait, suggesting maybe they should give him 7 days. She explains that after seeing his mind, she knows he's from an extraordinary world and has experienced many things. Maybe he can fix everything. But recalling all the scenes she witnessed, she knows this guy is a shameless rogue. The blonde replies that since Junior Sister seems to trust him so much, they'll give him the 7 days. Shortly after, Mo Wang sits on the hay. The blonde tells him that if he doesn't fix things in 7 days, his memory will be erased and he'll be kicked out of the place. Our boy asks what happens if he does solve it. The guy says that if he actually manages it, he'll guarantee he can leave this mountain safely. He then leaves, saying he'll fetch the records from this place and bring them back to see what the mortal can do. The door closes, and when Mo Wang looks at his phone, he sees it's at 6% battery. That's because he never hung up the call he started. At least his friends in the chat said they heard everything. Alien replies that when they bring the documents, they'll help him figure out what went wrong. Meanwhile, in her room, Baiji is suffering from having experienced all those scenes. The next day, Mo Wang says he first needs to understand how finances work in this place. Basically, how they're spending money. The blonde then says that aside from cultivating, he has a hobby of writing books. A few days ago, he met someone at the foot of the mountain who claimed to be the son of a publisher. The guy seemed to be going through hard times and said if the blonde helped him, he helped publish his book. All he needed was 300 spiritual coins to make it happen. Mo Wang immediately figures out what happened and asks if the blonde stole from the beast's den to give the money to this guy. He beams and says of course he did. When his book gets published, he'll pay it back. Our boy asks if the guy left any message about when he returned. Blonde says the guy left this pendant, claiming it's a family heirloom. Mo Wang touches it, but it's just paint, and he declares the blonde was clearly scammed. The fool insists it's impossible, saying he even received a letter afterward. He hands over the letter, and our boy reads that it's addressed to Wangsing. The guy writes that he's run into more problems, but the manuscript has been delivered to his father. However, to continue the process, he'd need another 200 coins. Mo Wang asks if he sent more money and how much. The blonde guy says it wasn't a big deal. He only sent more 6 or 7 times, totaling 3,060 coins. Mo Wang then asks how long it would take for the guy to go and return. Huang Xing says 1 month, but the guy has already been gone for 2.5 months. Our boy says it's obvious the guy should have arrived by now and that he's clearly been scammed. Wan responds that yeah, it seems possible, but what is he supposed to do about it? Mo Wang asks him if he isn't a cultivator who flies on a sword and how long it would take to get there. He replies that yes, he can fly and would get there in a day. Our boy orders him to fly right now, threaten the guy, demand his money back, and of course never send him another cent. The blonde tosses his sword and says he's going right now, but Mo Wang stops him. He tells him it's better to hand over all the money he has first so he doesn't get scammed again. Additionally, he hands over a list of ingredients, and the blonde asks why he needs magnets and copper. He explains that the sex marketplace has everything, and right then, our boy asks to be taken there. The blonde says that since he's been helped, he'll introduce Mo Wang as a new disciple, but it's best to stay quiet so no one finds out. With that, they leave the cave flying. The scene shifts to a gigantic red gate. They enter, and at the reception, there's a bald old man sleeping. Wang Xing smacks him on the head, introduces Mo Wang as a new disciple in the den, and says he needs some items. He then rushes off, telling the old man to take him back to the den later. The old man wakes up groggily and seeing that Mo Wang needs magnets and copper, he asks if he's trying to create an electric bomb. Startled, Mo Wang asks if they have that kind of technology. The old man says it seems like Mo Wang has a lot to learn. They could combine these items with spiritual energy to create an electric bomb. It wouldn't be very strong, but it'd be perfect for trapping aquatic beasts. He then hands over some spiritual coins, a few manuscripts, and the sex robe. Additionally, he tells him to register himself as he'll be able to request new resources once a month. With that said, the old man announces he's leaving because he's sleepy. Mo Wang heads to the registration talisman, places his hand on it, and a golden glow appears. His name shows up, and it's time to test the energy device. As soon as the USB cable connects, the phone starts charging. He's already in the university chat, announcing that the main problem is solved. He can recharge his phone now. ActionToon says that's just one of the problems, while Io tells him to play dumb, charm lots of girls, rise to the top like a dragon, and become the king of that world. He replies that he's more concerned about how to get back to their world first. But Alien warns him that usually people who travel to other worlds can only return when they reach the peak of that place. Mo Wang mentions receiving manuscripts, and they ask for a picture. He starts taking photos of all the pages and sends them to the chat. He barely starts reading and already feels his head hurting. He wants to rest and watch some TikTok. But Ao tells him she can see he's on another social media app and he better get back to cultivating. He tells her to shut up because she's on TikTok too, but says that since he's in this place, he'll stop watching girls dance. He starts reading about cultivating the process of the body to reach the essence of heaven and earth. There are 9 stages, each with a harder name than the last. At least the breathing technique seems simple, as it's just about closing your eyes and breathing. He starts doing it and feels some energy orbs floating around him. Maybe he's one of those 1 in a million geniuses. But he notices that as soon as he loses focus, all the energy seems to dissipate. A short time later, he's already exhausted and sweating, saying this stuff is tiring. He reads that those who can guide spiritual energy on the first try are amazing, and those who can't are screwed. In such cases, a person would need medicinal elixirs or some kind of treasure. Since he could feel it but couldn't guide it, he's going to need a treasure. Now the problem is getting one. The incense burns out, and he goes to sleep. Suddenly, the door to his room opens, and someone enters. Seeing that he's asleep, Baiji says she just wants to take a quick look into his mind to see if there's any useful information. But the moment she touches his head, he wakes up and bumps right into her face. The two stand there in silence for a moment. The light is turned on and she asks why he's not sleeping when it's already past midnight. But he responds that he should be the one asking why she's invading his room at midnight. The poor girl seems unwilling to admit she was trying to peek into his memories and smacks him. All twisted up, he apologizes for questioning her and begs not to get beaten anymore. He tries to call her senior, but she orders him to call her Baijai instead. She then asks why he didn't help Mo Wang solve the issue with the records. A bit embarrassed and flustered, she admits there's something very wrong with his soul. She's certain he's not from this world. He realizes there's no way to lie anymore and decides to explain himself. However, blushing, she hugs herself and says she needs to investigate his mind further because she saw many suspicious things. Mo Wang finds it odd that she's so red while talking about his mind. He starts scratching his chin, wondering what exactly she saw that could be so strange. The clueless fool seems to have no idea what might be inappropriate, but she thinks he already knows and says it's not exactly that. Suddenly, her expression changes and she says that since he knows, she can't let him keep living. She's ready to strike him down when he asks her to wait a moment. He tells her that if she kills him, she'll never be able to look at anything again, so he's willing to cooperate and let her look freely. She blushes and says she's not interested in looking and calls it an investigation. He pulls a smug Giga Chad face and says it's time for a deal. Meanwhile, in the university chat, his friends are trying cultivation techniques from his book, but with no success. Mo Wang asks them which is stronger, the power of science or the power of ancient world cultivation. It's a hard question to answer, but he knows the key difference lies in the volume of information. He then tells Baiji that he's a person from another world, a prince who came from the mortal world. She looks surprised and unsure if she should believe such nonsense. He explains that in his world, cultivation is different from theirs. Thinking it over, she says she's heard of something like that but needs more evidence. Mo Wang asks if she didn't see evidence when she crossed his mind. Recalling everything she saw, she asks if his world really functions like that. Seeing her blushing reaction, he asks if, by chance, she saw anything inappropriate. At that, he pulls out the pendant from Huang Xing and says the evidence is right there. She touches it, sees the paint come off, and declares the thing is a mess. He then apologizes and says, actually, it's this, showing her his phone. Moments later, with it laid out on the table, he clicks through the apps. He starts navigating files, and what he opens is censored to 32 pixels for the viewers. Baiji comments that these are indeed the scenes she saw, so it wasn't an illusion. He takes the phone back and she says she believes him but still doesn't understand why he has no cultivation. He lies, saying he's from another world, fell to the mortal realm, and then ended up in this one. He claims that when he came to this realm, he lost all of his cultivation, but promises that once he regains it, he'll reward her greatly. Beiji says she thought he was just a boy with an intense appetite, but it turns out he's really a prince in need of help. At that moment, he realizes she's just as easy to fool as Huang Xing. She tells him to leave that aside for now, they still need to fix the den's accounts. Otherwise, she'll be punished, and obviously so will he. At that moment, his phone rings, he pulls it from his robe and says not to worry, the results have arrived. It's time to show her the power of modern cultivation. He tells her to follow him to another room and says this is why he asked for all the records. Seeing the mountain of files, she says it's impossible for him to have gone through all that so quickly. But he tells her not to worry. Of course, he took pictures of all the files he used AI for analysis. Something like that would have been impossible in ancient times, but this is where the power of modern civilization shines. He starts explaining all the problems in the manuscripts. One issue is that the beast's food cost 10 coins 5 years ago, but today it costs 30. Clearly, someone is tampering with the food procurement process. Beiji believes he has superpowers, especially since she would have fallen asleep after reading just 3 pages. She asks if they should tell the senior about these discrepancies, but he says obviously not. Maybe the senior is involved. It seems he has a plan to fix everything. Back on Earth, ActionToon is cultivating, saying he feels spiritual energy around him. Maybe cultivation is possible on Earth too. Back in the other world, someone cuts through the clouds and mountains, calling for the senior to appear. A chubby man appears, startled, and asks Beiji what's going on. She hands him the book and says it contains the record of all this place accounts. She's marked all the discrepancies and purchase values in red. Leaning over the table, she explains that in total, he owes 4,800 coins. The chubby man says it's impossible because everything is reviewed by the senior sister. At that moment, Mo Wang enters, introducing himself as the new disciple. He says he's sure an honest man like the chubby one would never do such a thing. He shows him some revised records and says they already fixed everything to avoid trouble. The chubby man looks over the corrections and says someone did a great job. Mo Wang thinks to himself, of course, since I gave it to Axwan who fixed it all easily. Suddenly, he grabs the chubby man's hand and says that in order to hand over these records, he'll need a small favor. The man immediately clasps his hands together and says any favor for the junior will be granted. Our boy explains they need some coins, so if he could lend them, that'd be perfect. Without hesitation, the chubby man gives him the coins and says that if he faces any difficulty, he should come to him. Mo Wang thanks him, hands over the book, and says they're leaving. He walks away from the base happy, saying to look for him at the beast den if they ever need anything. In another room, Beiji is praising him, saying that very few people can handle the chubby guy, but he managed it easily. She opens a bag and a glow begins to emanate. Inside are some cultivation pills, spiritual herbs, and even crystal pills. Seeing all this, she comments that these people must be stealing a lot of money. She approaches Mo Wang and says she never expected him to be so helpful. The sly one blushes and she asks why. What exactly is going on in his head? Already aware of his thoughts, she covers herself, saying he's a pervert. He tries to explain that it's just that he's not used to being around girls at all. The boy has zero experience with relationships, but then he thinks she's not really his type, imagining the fairy of the sect instead. She waves goodbye, saying that after they finish, she'll need a favor. But she's nervous, wondering what kind of favor someone with a mind like his would ask for. However, Mo Wang surprises her, saying all he wants is to stay in this place, cultivate, and join the sect. Relieved that it's just that, she says she can make the decision herself, and now he's part of the sect. Mo Wang thanks her, securing his position in this world. So far, he's learned that people here are a bit naive, and at least his phone can connect, which is his greatest advantage. Now with the pills in hand, he's ready to start building his foundation, transforming his body into a weapon with the knowledge from his phone as the blade. Sitting cross-legged, energy begins to flow and he feels like he's entered the realm of spiritual light. Now he's truly taken his first step into the world of cultivation. He informs his friends in the university chat about his progress. Axwan says he tried cultivating again but didn't feel anything, so it must have been his imagination. Ayao was already demanding he start a live stream surfing on his sword. Meanwhile, on the top of a mountain, some hooded figures wonder if their rituals successfully summon anything. One replies that yes, he feels a connection to another realm. They order the person to be found quickly since they sacrificed countless lives to bring him. Later, the fairy of the sect reviews the manuscripts and says the accounts finally make sense. She asks if it's true that this boy is a disciple of Baiji's master. Baiji steps forward, saying that's exactly it. Her master accepted Mo Wan, and now he's ended up in the beast den. The fairy notices his progress and tells Beiji to take care of the boy since he seems to have potential. Mo Wang thanks her, laughing like an idiot. As she leaves, she apologizes for everything that happened and mentions they need to prepare for the 30th anniversary, a massive competition where the top disciples from all sects will go head-to-head. Since the beast den only has 3 disciples, she wishes them good luck. She mounts her sword with her skinny legs and flies off on a flower. Mo Wan, blushing, is immediately noticed by Bai Zhai. She shouts in his ear, saying he's admitted to discovering his type. The boy, flustered, dances around, claiming he has no idea what she's talking about. But suddenly, a star shines in the sky and falls beside them. It's Hwang Sing wearing nothing but a leaf in his hand. Excited, he turns around, saying he's got an explanation. But Mo Wang covers his mouth, saying he knows full well the guy got there, was told there was no money, and needed help. This time, he even sold his clothes, which is why he looks like that. Mo Wang compliments him, saying he doesn't know how Hwang Sing figured it all out. But he asks him to promise never to leave the mountain again and just focus on cultivation. Baiji is beating Hwang Sing, demanding to know how someone could be scammed 8 times. Our boy signals for them to leave since he needs help. Amid the mountains riding the sword, Hwang Sing asks what's going on, and Mo Wang says he's scanning the terrain. The crafty one is recording everything with his phone. The scene shifts to the library pavilion. The girl behind the counter asks why he's borrowed 10 books in the 3 days he's been there. Apparently, he reads very fast. Mo Wang explains that it's just because he has a photographic memory. She then reveals that, unfortunately, for the next books, he'll need better cultivation and a higher ranking. He says he understands, and shortly after, he's sending the recordings to his group chat. ActionToon says he's uploading everything to a private server and will use a GPT model to analyze the terrain. Aliang, feeling left out, says she wishes she could help more. The scene shifts to Baiji, explaining that in the spiritual beast sect, they focus on training beasts. The main technique is a mantra command that allows the user to synchronize their mind with the creatures. Mo Wang touches the little frog, and this time the lightning doesn't seem to affect his hand as much. In fact, it feels like it's strengthening him. He shows Baiji a book and says it contains the martial technique 1,000 transformations. He wanted to get more materials, but he doesn't have the level for it yet. She questions if it's just a little trick where you can create some objects and copies of them. She adds that the larger the object, the more energy it requires, so it's kind of inefficient. He should focus on cultivation. But Mo Wang reassures her, saying not to worry because he has his own plans. The boy is already thinking about creating a Glock, a camera, a drone, a computer, and more. If he manages to do all of this, the world will be shocked. He then asks her if she found anything interesting about his world. Once again, he shows her the phone and claims it's a family heirloom known as the Mirror of Illusion. It allows him to learn about other worlds, but only he can use it because of a soul connection. He places his fingerprint on it and begins browsing the files. He shows her some things, and she seems impressed. 20 minutes later, Baiji is lying on the floor, exhausted, as Mo Wang tells her she should take it easy with things like this at her age. He then places his hand on his chest, uses a technique, and appears to create a processor. It took a long time to understand how to assemble it, but now technology has arrived. It's been 2 months since Mo Wang arrived in this world, and he's finally getting used to it. At the gate, someone asks to enter the beast sect because they need a beast for a journey. The gate opens, and Mo Wang appears, telling the person to show their card and fill out these forms. The man enters and sees a pile of papers and tools, wondering why the beast sect has weirder things than the tool sect. He didn't even know such a sect existed. Proudly, Mo Wang says he's just having fun with a few things and tells the man not to worry. The man explains that he's just a regular disciple and can't fly, so he needs a beast. Mo Wang says he'll fetch one for him, and the man is startled. What appears before him is a creature with a pig's body, a horse's head, and rabbit ears. Mo Wang casually tells him not to get too excited and assures him there's no extra charge. But seeing the creature's size, the man says it might be easier to walk. Still, since Mo Wang brought it, he decides to give it a shot. He tries to get the beast to move, but doesn't budge. The man asks if he can exchange it for another one. Mo Wang explains that this is the slimmest option they have, but tells him to try something specific. A purple liquid splashes on the man's robe, and he asks what it is. Mo Wang says it's premium beast food, and the creatures get excited when they smell it. The beast's back suddenly lights up with a red eye, and the man gets a bad feeling. It turns out Mo Wang accidentally used an aphrodisiac instead of mint-flavored food. The man finds it bizarre and runs off. Meanwhile, Mo Wang thinks it seems to work since the man is running fast enough. Back at his workstation, he remarks that in these mountain sects, each small peak is like its own domain. This allows him to carry out his experiments without anyone bothering him. With his phone in hand, he declares that after many experiments, he's finally close to creating his first big invention. The issue is that the copies don't have internet access, meaning only the original phone can connect. Still, with the phone's processor, he's been creating other interesting devices. For example, an automatic feeding machine. However, given the size of the beasts, he's certain it needs some adjustments. He's also built drones, tools, and even a printer. The printer, powered by spiritual energy, can produce low-level talismans. The drones, also powered by spiritual energy, can fly for 10 hours without needing a recharge. With his arms raised, he prepares to build something big. He continues gathering energy, but suddenly it dissipates. With his current cultivation level, creating something large isn't yet possible. His phone buzzes with a notification from the university. ActionToon informs him that his mother has leukemia. Shocked, Mo Wang says she was fine before he left. ActionToon explains that she urgently needs treatment, which is extremely expensive. Another option is a bone marrow transplant, but Mo Wang isn't there to help. ActionToon says they'll try to come up with an idea, and Ailing suggests that since he's in another world with his phone, he could do live streams. With few options to earn money in the other world, Mo Wang realizes it might be worth it, After all, people love the idea of transmigration. ActionToon says he just needs to stream and they'll handle the rest, pretending it's some sort of real-time rendering transmission. Opening the TikTok app, it's time to start streaming. Meanwhile, in front of a massive gate, Liu Xian the fairy says the Beast sect and Merchant sect are running low on resources. She introduces herself and explains that, unfortunately, they can only resolve this after the elections. Ziying Tian, the master of the martial sect, tells her not to worry. They'll take first place, and the rest can fight for second. Yi Qi, the master of the formation sect, disagrees, claiming they should be on top. Meanwhile, Jin Swansea, the master of the merchant sect in yellow robes, says they don't care as long as they make money. He Wu, the purple-haired master of the Tool sect, says she's more worried about returning to her sect to continue experimenting. As Liu Xian organizes the event, Baiji works as her assistant, though she's starving and tired. Liu Xian tells everyone to stop arguing since all the sects belong to the Xiangling Mountains, which are considered extremely powerful. The sect had talented disciples and, most importantly, the coveted River Spring. From what I understand, they are all part of the Xiangling Mountain Alliance, but they're facing problems because some of the ancient elders have been disappearing lately. Liu Xian is asking everyone to stop arguing and focus on the elections so that, together, they can protect the mountain. The other leaders, however, remain silent. The headmaster of the alliance is in seclusion, and it's difficult to manage everything without someone as strong as him. Liu Xian wishes someone would step in to help so she can return to cultivating a peace. Meanwhile, back with Mo Wan, the boy is feeling dejected. He live-streamed and didn't get any viewers. Becoming famous is much harder than he expected. The only people in his livestream are his 3 university friends sending him messages. He tells his friends that maybe it's better to record some videos instead. This whole real-time interaction thing is way too hard. Even flying on mystical beasts isn't that cool. That's when he gets an idea and realizes it doesn't have to be him doing the live. Just then, Beiji shows up asking for his phone because she wants to distract herself. He shows it to her, and she asks about all the things popping up on the screen. At that moment, he realizes the perfect candidate for his first live stream has just appeared. He points to the phone, showing her the viewer count and little red hearts. He tells her that the higher those numbers get, the more she can use his phone to watch whatever she wants. She grabs the phone immediately, saying she'll do her best. Suddenly, Huang Xing comes running in, shouting that he wants in too. He says that if he can read more of those novels, he'll also participate. A few days ago, he was clinging to Mo Wang's leg, begging to read just one more chapter. Mo Wang had shown him some episodes from dramas to help him write better, but now the guy's addicted. Back in the present, Mo Wang says the two of them will now handle the live stream. Beiji asks how to increase the numbers and why they're stuck at 15. He tells her not to worry about the low numbers and says the fastest way to grow is by challenging another streamer. He's a bit shy about it, but she could give it a try. All she has to do is do things that grab attention. The crazier, the better. She asks how high the numbers have to get to be considered a success, and he says 1 million. She immediately accepts and clicks on the PK button. Her opponent is the #1 romantic streamer of Hangzhou, Tong Cheng, with over 20 million viewers. Tong Cheng asks the lovely girl if she's willing to have a drink with him. Beiji remembers seeing something like this in Mo Wang's memories and decides to try out one of the techniques she learned. She responds aggressively, saying she can't because her husband is at home. Tong Cheng, startled, thinks this girl is wild. Suddenly, Huang Xing interjects, asking if he's supposed to be the husband and saying he'd rather watch some novels. She snaps at him, telling him to shut up or he'll get beaten. Meanwhile, Tong Cheng is impressed with the dynamic. Out of his 20 million viewers, 400,000 have already jumped to her stream. She asks Mo Wang if she can watch whatever she wants now. It seems like she mentioned something peculiar because Tong Cheng comments that she's bold to say that out loud. But she replies that life is short and it's okay to have a few hobbies. Tong Cheng laughs, saying she's amazing, and once again invites her for drinks. She asks if it'll just be the two of them because she's already emptied all the sex bottles and didn't even get drunk. At that moment, he realizes he doesn't stand a chance with her. She turns to Mo Wan, announcing they've reached 1 million. She's ready to end the stream, saying live streaming is actually pretty easy. Tong Cheng remarks how her viewer count skyrocketed, and yet she still cut the stream short. She's really caught his attention. As the two leave, Mo Wang wonders if this is the legendary innate body of the livestream saint. He checks his TikTok and finds millions of messages, one of them from Tong Cheng. Tong Cheng asks if they can collaborate and mentions having a company, even inviting Mo Wang to relax with him for a while. Impressed by Baiji's talent, Mo Wang thinks he would accept all of this if he could. His university friends are already praising him, saying he'll get rich now that he's found this beauty. Ayao says she'll research how to turn those views into commissions. Mo Wang sends a laughing emoji saying that one day, if he gets the chance, he'll thank them all properly. The following days are a bit calmer. The scene shifts back to Earth, where a couple walks down the street. The blonde man asks if the girl saw the live stream of the girl with Tong Cheng. Apparently, the girl was rendered in real time. She could even interact with the scenes and divine beasts. Watching her feed a giant dog, a friend comments she never imagined technology had come this far. Then she notices comments asking if the electric beast could attend university. She has no idea how to respond to such questions. But she remembers Mo Wang's advice. When in doubt, act like a fool. Instead, she makes a facial expression she learned from his memories. The scene shifted to the bustling Sangling Mountains, where the Grand Selection Tournament was about to begin. Baiji explained that over 200 disciples would participate in this major event. Mo Wang asked why their beast sect only had 3 disciples. Huang Xing explained that their sect was cut down long ago when their master, the Lord of 10,000 Beasts, disappeared 12 years ago. Their combat style relied heavily on high-level spiritual beasts, which vanished with the master. Now they only had low-level beasts, and even among those they had the weakest. As the newest disciple, Mo Wang bore the responsibility of bringing honor to their sect. When they landed at the arena, an elder named Master Zian immediately glared at them. Approaching the group, he exuded such pressure that Mo Wang wondered what made him so intimidating. Master Zian remarked that before their master vanished, he'd been tasked with looking after the beast sect's disciples. He advised them to withdraw from the competition as they only had 3 participants and would surely get hurt. Bai Ji, brimming with confidence from streaming success, told him to back off, asserting they didn't need his protection. Zion sighed, saying they lacked the strength and would only get in the way. Out of nowhere, Huang Xing stepped forward, delivering an odd speech about 30 years in the East and 30 years in the West, saying not to underestimate the youth. He then declared that they had a new disciple, giving the sect hope. Mo Wang, sweating nervously, had no idea what was going on. Master Zian noted that Mo Wang was a beginner and wouldn't be able to defend himself. But Mo Wang thanked him and said he would participate. After all, he needed the arena for his live stream to make money. The elder, baffled, muttered, "This boy has a death wish," before leaving, saying, "You don't want to leave alive, so be it." Mo Wang wished him luck and declared he had his own way of winning. Later, as Mo Wang opened a chest, Baiji asked if he was ready. He replied, "It's time to make this happen." She immediately entered her streamer mode, welcoming everyone to the broadcast and reminding them to click the little red heart. The arena was massive, with every black dot representing 2 combatants. In one of those spots stood Mo Wang, also greeting his viewers. This was the first large-scale rendered stream. A boy with a green bucket on his back asked why a beast sect disciple was stalling. Mo Wang apologized and rushed into position. His opponent, holding a book, remarked that they were of the same generation, both training for nearly a decade. The boy with the bucket belonged to the Key sect at the 2nd stage of transformation. Mo Wang from the Beast sect was at the 4th stage of spiritual light. Killing was forbidden and victory was achieved by immobilizing the opponent. There were no restrictions on tools or magical treasures. If no one won within an hour, it was a draw. The boy bowed in thanks and Mo Wang declared he was ready. A drone hovered above, likely recording the live stream. From the sidelines, Baiji cheered, telling Mo Wang to give it his all. The bucket boy told him to demonstrate what he could do. Mo Wang knew the Key sect was famous for using tools and surprising techniques. The Beast sect, on the other hand, relied on spiritual beasts. His frog was summoned, surprising the bucket boy, who thought their sect had no creatures left. Even so, he felt confident being a whole level above Mo Wang. Activating his Thunder Chaos, the boy unleashed a barrage of attacks, creating explosions and smoke. Using the distraction, he crept closer. Mo Wang, unsure of what to do, decided to solve it militarily. He crouched, pulled a chest from his bag, and scattered objects into the air. Landmines embedded themselves around him. As the bucket boy prepared a sneak attack from behind, Mo Wang stepped aside. The boy triggered a landmine, and an explosion swept the field. Staggering, the boy asked what had happened. Mo Wang explained it was a landmine made with gunpowder, simple, yet effective. Angrily, the boy asked why a beast sect disciple was using tools. Mo Wang replied, "Why limit ourselves to what's yours or mine?" The boy stood, determined to fight from a distance. Summoning a golden object, he revealed a cannon, saying he had no choice but to use it to counter the mines. But as the cannon formed, it was suddenly torn in half. Mo Wang smirks and says, "This right here is a tool called the AK-47. He explains that he's tested it, and anyone below the Foundation stage can't handle even a single shot. The guy lying on the ground, trembling under Mo Wang's aim, wonders what kind of weapon shoots spiritual bullets so rapidly that they can't be defended against. Mo Wang warns that an attack is incoming as he prepares to pull the trigger. Panicking, the guy raises his hand and surrenders. The referee declares victory for the Beast sect, and the crowd erupts in celebration. From a distance, an old man observes, surprised that the Beast sect is now using tools. Master Zian, standing beside him, mutters that in the next round, Mo Wang's likely to be killed. As Mo Wang exits the arena, he's greeted by Huang Xing, who praises him and tells him it's his turn now. Checking his phone, Mo Wang sees that his stream has surpassed 3 million viewers. The chat is buzzing with comments, some people confused about why he brought a gun to a sword fight, while others marvel at the possibility of technology doing something like that. Turning to the camera, Mo Wang waves and assures everyone that it's all happening in real time. Back in the arena, a man with messy hair smirks, asking if he'll be fighting that same junior again. It seems they're still in the same cultivation realm, and now it's time to face off. Huang Xing recognizes him as Ma Qi, a former disciple of the Beast sect, who was the last one their master took in before vanishing. When the master disappeared, Ma Qi left for the Wu sect, where he quickly surpassed Huang Xing in cultivation. Ma Qi advises Huang Xing to surrender, not wanting to ruin their friendship. But Huang Xing responds that now that they're here, there's no turning back. The referee tells them to stop talking and signals the start of the match. As soon as the fight begins, Ma Qi unleashes his flame fist technique, launching himself toward Huang Xing and creating a massive explosion. The ground is scorched and smoke rises as Ma Qi taunts Huang Xing, saying the difference in their powers is undeniable and that he should just give up. The referee quickly uses magic to repair the arena floor. Ma Qi begins walking toward Huang Xing, criticizing the Beast sect for its lack of resources and declaring that staying there is a waste. As he activates his technique again, Huang Xing suddenly calls out to Ma Qi. A blue snake materializes beside him and coils around Ma Qi's arm. The flames are extinguished and the icy serpent freezes his opponent in place. Huang Xing readies another attack as the spectators comment on the high-level spiritual beast he's using. From the stands, another sect leader remarks in amazement that the Beast sect is actually putting up a fight. Nearby, Liu Xian wonders why the Beast sect, after being silent for so long, is suddenly making such a commotion. She glances at Mo Wan, suspecting it's his doing. Huang Xing's ice snake coils around Ma Qi's entire body as he declares that he doesn't care who he's facing. Though he doesn't resent Ma Qi for leaving the sect, now that they cross paths, he feels compelled to show him what he gave up. Struggling, Ma Qi retorts that the Beast sect is full of weaklings and will soon disappear. Huang Xing counters, explaining that their master had instructed them to remain low-key until his return. But now, with their legacy on the verge of fading away, they can no longer stay silent. With the new disciple joining them, it's time to show their strength. Mo Wan watches from the sidelines, recording everything. Huang Xing announces that he's about to demonstrate something he learned from a new book. Suddenly, he summons a fiery snake to his arm, surprising the audience. Ma Qi shatters the ice snake, but Huang Xing calmly states that few know the Beast sect allows practitioners to use two creatures to amplify their power. Entering the 8th stage, he charges forward, reciting his strange mantra about 30 years in the east and 30 years in the west. With one powerful strike, Ma Qi is sent flying. A Formation sect elder remarks that it seems the Beast sect's spiritual beasts are making a comeback. Meanwhile, Mo Wang is in shock. If Huang Xing is this strong, he doesn't even want to imagine Baiji's full power. In the university chat, Aliang excitedly reports that Mo Wang has earned over 200,000 yuan in gifts today. Mo Wang, emotional, admits that if not for transmigrating, he'd never make this much money. Back in the real world,